Hello everyone, welcome back to Crafts by the Bow and a very happy new year to all of you. Today I'm going to make a card and I'm only using items that are free in the Celebration catalogue. This went live yesterday and it's a little catalogue where if you spend $60 on anything from any of the catalogues or the clearance rack, you can choose a free item. And I'm going to use this little Darling Donkeys and one of the papers, this Oh So Ombre paper. But there are lots of things in here, stamp sets, paper, and things that coordinate with the main catalogue and things that coordinate with the mini catalogue. So here's my card. I am going to change it up just a little bit, but this is using those Darling Donkeys that I showed you, and that's a red rubber stamp set, and the Oh So Ombre paper. Now this paper is really pretty. It's a 6x6 paper and you can see that it's, because it's ombre, it's graduated, so you get a light to dark effect. And there are plain pieces, there are patterned pieces, so pretty. And on the back there are different colours, so it really is a nice little set of paper. So my card uses both those things and some cards, just main cardstock and adhesives, and something that's in the new mini catalogue, which is the blending brushes. Now, today was the first time I'd played with them. They're so soft, they are really nice. So silky soft. And up to now I've always used sponges and things, but I think I might be a convert for the brushes. So I've done a little bit of prep work already, but I want to show you how I did the little picture and how I cut the paper, because I used more of it inside, and so I only used one sheet of designer series paper, but it looks like, you know, you've used quite a lot and it makes it look really pretty. So I've started off with my base card, and it's 4 1/4 by 11 and scored at 5 1/2. And if you check on my blog, all the sizings will be there. You don't need to be writing anything down right now. And I have one of the ombre papers. I want to use the light at the top going down to the dark. So rather than have it this way, I actually want to hold it this way. So the very light side is going to be at the top of my card. And to cut this, what I did, let me just get my trimmer and I can show you. I made a cut at 3 3/4 inches. So I've lined it up. I'm just going to cut it at 3 3/4 inches. This piece is for the front, so just pop that one aside. This piece is for the inside, and I'm going to cut it down to 5. I'm keeping the light part at the top. I'm going to cut it down to 5 inches. And then this little piece will go on the inside of our card. So we have the big piece here, and then this little scrap that was left, I've just put on the inside white card. And while I'm here, I'm going to cut the piece that was for the front. I'm keeping the light piece at the top again, and I'm going to cut that down to 5 1/2, which is the length of our card. And on my first card, I made it so it had the little pendented end. This time I'm going to do something slightly different. So that is the only little piece of paper that's left over. You could save it if you want to do herringbone pictures, but I'm not going to save mine. Okay, so what I've also done for this one is I've cut a piece of Whisper White, which is just exactly the same length, but 1/4 inch wider. And I'm going to pop that on my card here instead of the pendented end, just to have that colour lifted a little bit. I'm going to attach those two pieces first, and then in a couple of minutes we'll do our colouring. I want to get all this done because this is quite quick to do. Just make sure that you've got it lined up so you've got a little border on each side, and then I'm going to add that to the front. I'm going to leave a little gap, oops, on that left hand side. Okay, and then while we're here, I'm going to put the pieces on the inside too. So here's the larger piece of Designer Series paper that we cut. Let's pop that one in. There we are. And then I've got a piece of Whisper White that I've cut to the same size as the Designer Series paper. And I've already stamped a little donkey at the left-hand side. You certainly don't have to put a little image on the inside. I just thought it looked pretty cute. And then I'm going to put that one inside. And I'm going to put this little piece at the bottom. This is the little piece that we cut off. And I could have made it so that the donkey was standing on the green part, or even inked up and stamped onto the green part, but I just randomly sort of stamped him over at the left hand side. Okay, now on my first card I put a little piece of linen thread round, and you could do that certainly on here, but for this time I think I might just add a bow rather than the thread going all the way along. I've already made a little bow, and I think I might just pop the bow on its own. So we can get rid of this piece for now because we're going to do our colouring. And I have just a little piece of scrap paper. Just let me make sure that that's straight. I think I've moved it a little bit. There we go. And on a little piece of Whisper White scrap, I've stamped my donkey, and I used the nested dies, and I used the third one. So this is the first one, the largest, that's the next largest, and then it alternates like that. And I used the third one to cut it out because I thought it gave just enough of a border for me to colour. And I only stamped it on a little scrap of paper. You don't need much. Keep this though, because we're going to do the sentiments on this piece. And I'm only using 2 colours for the donkey, and these are the crumb cake blends. And I really didn't spend a lot of time colouring him or anything. I stamped in early espresso, and I just have to be careful that my ink is not going to run. But because I'm only going over it quickly and I'm not doing tons of colouring over the top, I found that it was okay. It didn't run. It is really a very quick colouring job. And if you wanted to use watercolour crayons, that would be good as well, or markers. I'm just going to turn this and get the dark one, and I'm just going to do a little mane on here with a bit darker colour, and a little bit extra on his ears. I'm going to do a little bit around his face, and I will go back around his face with the lighter blend as well. But you could use like the greys as well, the basic grey, or even the smoky slate. Okay, now I'm just going to go back to get my lighter colour, and I'm just going to blend those little darker stripes in. And just going over where I put that darker colour. Okay. And then the only other little bit of colouring is for the flower, and I took out the old olive and the light cherry cobbler. So I'm just going to do that rose in the cherry cobbler. Oh, yeah, it was the light. I was going to say that might be the dark, but no, it is the light. And you can see I'm not spending a lot of time on colouring at all. And although the cardstock and my paper is Granny Apple Green, I'm going to colour the grass in the Pear Pizzazz. I found that this Purpose colour just was the right colour of green that I wanted. It wasn't too bright, it wasn't too dark. Let's open those. And I've also got Balmy Blue, ready for the sky. And with my brushes, I've decided I'm going to keep like one for greens and one for blues. Even if they've got ink left on, it doesn't transfer, but I think I'd like it better if I had like a pink brush and a blue brush and a green brush. What I've also done is on a post-it note, I've stamped another little donkey, and I stamped it mainly on this long sticky side here because I want to use it as a little mask. And so one half of my donkey is a little bit sticky. I cut him out, I cut his poor little leg off here, so be careful when you're cutting out. And I'm just going to place that over here. And I tend to cut slightly smaller than the image when I'm doing a mask, just so that I can get up to the edges a little bit more. All right, oh, there we go. And with these brushes, I found that you need a really, really light touch. I'm just going to move the green and I'll show you with the Balmy Blue. I've hardly got any ink on there at all, but when you put it down, you get like one patch really quickly, and then the rest of it seems to be much, much lighter and it dissipates quickly. So it's not quite like using a sponge, I found. I'm just going to go over really quickly. I'm not spending a lot of time, no brushing into the edges or anything. I don't really want it to be too dark. And I'm just going to pat a little few pieces on. And then I took the little mask off. And I noticed the first time I've got some tiny little bits that are missing. So all I did was, you can see, I put a little bit of blue on the end, wiped most of it off, and then just went up to the edges on him. And that's as much as I'm going to put on. So I'm going to put the little donkey back. And I'm going to close the blue up for now. And then with my Purpose, I've got the green one ready. And again, I'm just dabbing a little bit on. Oh, I got blue on my finger. Oh, because I've got it onto the cardstock there, but that's okay. Now I'm just putting a little bit of the green on, because what I also liked was when I took the mask off, if you put a little bit of ink on and then just sort of pounce, you get this nice little effect of sort of shadowing on the grass as well. And I didn't want too much, I just wanted a little bit. I didn't really want that little bit of blue there, but that's okay. We'll cover that. So I quite like this pounced instead. Just looked a bit more grass-like. Okay, and that's all I'm doing. I think that's enough of a colour to give you the idea. So I'm going to keep my little mask though, because I can use that again. And let's get rid of this little piece of paper. And let's go back to our card. So all I have to do now is to put some dimensionals on the back of here. And I'm going to be quite generous with them. I don't want it sort of sagging in the middle because it's quite a long piece of card. Let's take these little backings off. This one didn't want to come off. And I'm just going to put it over here. I'm going to line up the points of the die cut onto this white area. Let me just see. Actually, I'm going to line it up with the edge of the Designer Series paper. There, like that. And then, remember I said about saving this little piece of scrap? That's the piece I've used for the sentiment. And all I wanted for this one was the little ER piece. And so you can tell this is from the first one I made, where I sort of stamped them all the way around the scrap. And I just simply cut them out. So I just got my paper snips and I followed the line of the curve. Throw that one away. There we go. And then these I just put on the mini dimensionals, and I popped 2 on each. And I've got 3 or 4 of the little cutouts, so let's pop them on as well. And the longest part to making this card really is just that sponging, because the colouring's really fast. But I think once I've used the brushes a little bit more, I get it a little bit faster with them as well. Okay, and then I'm going to take the backings off. I think that backing came off. There we go. And remember where I did that little boo-boo there? I'm going to put my... just a minute. That would make it a bit high. What I'm going to do is, on this one, I'm just going to put 1 dimensional, and I'm going to put a little glue dot, because otherwise it makes it just stick off the page just a little bit too much. I don't want to have a double layer. Let's pop a little glue dot on there. Oops. And then I'm going to put it over the top of where that little print from my ink was. There we go. And then the other pieces, I'm just going to scatter around. Let's pop one here. And let's put the 4th one on as well. Why not? And then where did I put that little bow? Here we go. I'm only going to pop this on with a glue dot. And I don't know if you've noticed, but our new rows of glue dots, instead of having the adhesive on this main roll, it's on the backing paper. So it works just as easily. It just took me a while. I opened the first roll and thought they'd forgotten to put any glue dots on, but no, they hadn't. They've just put them on the other side. Okay, cut those tails a little bit. And this is just our linen thread. And there we are. That's my little card made with my free Darling Donkeys and my free Oh So Ombre paper. So thank you so much for joining me today. I will have all the details on my blog, thecraftsbythebow.blogspot.com, and I'll have all the sizings and exactly what I used. So thank you again for joining me, and I'll see you all again really soon. Bye bye everyone.